Awesome. Hopefully the audio here is working very good. So just continuing our discussion from this book as Bill sees it. This year's the Indigenous Wellness Training Society live stream. Our hope and goal is to eventually turn this into an online sharing circle for those who may be interested. Our mission statement basically is just to, take individuals through a program of recovery and teach them how to become financially independent so that they may be able to eventually own their own business and kind of like we can try to teach them how to fish rather than feed them a fish. So today's reading is True Independence of the Spirit, it's called. And this is a picture of my father-in-law. He unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but I chose this picture because I was looking at other pictures of independence and having spirit and stuff like that. So And I saw somebody with this exact pose, and I was like, well, hey, I have that picture. Yeah. So, true independence of the spirit. The reading goes as follows. So the more we become willing to depend upon a higher power, the more independent we actually are. Therefore, dependence, as AA practices, it is really a means of gaining true independence of the spirit. So basically that's really, and this comes from 12 and 12. That's basically what we want, in a sense, is true independence of the spirit. So at the level of everyday living, it is startling to discover how dependent we really are, right? Stephen Covey talks about going from being dependent, just like when we were born, we're dependent on our parents to get us through that, to being independent, going through school and growing up in life. And sometimes I'm becoming a little bit more independent, but it's taken a long time to become an interdependent. But it says, it's startling to discover how dependent we really are and how unconscious of that dependence. Every modern house has electric wiring carrying power and light to its interior. By accepting with delight our dependence upon this marvel of science, we find ourselves personally more independent, more comfortable, and secure. So that's why we teach life skills. Like that's one of our drivers of empowerment is life skills, and through teaching that we become more secure as well. Power flows just where it is needed. Silently and surely, electricity, that strange energy so few people understand, meets our simplest daily needs. Though we readily accept this principle of healthy dependence in many of our temporal affairs, we often fiercely resist the identical principle when asked to apply. It is a means of growth in the life of the spirit. Clearly, we shall never know freedom under God until we try to seek His will for us. So the choice is ours. So, this, as I mentioned, this reminds me a little bit of Stephen Covey. So distinguishing between the haves and the bees. So if you want to have independence, dependence, independence or interdependence, then basically what he says is be independent. And he says there's a freedom, we have a freedom to choose between the stimulus and response. Like if the phone rings, that's a stimulus. What's your response? Usually you answer it. Some people ignore it, let it go to voicemail, check it later. So we have to understand the consequences and mistakes. The ability to make and keep commitments and promises is at the heart of our circle of influence. So you could see there's a circle of influence and a circle of concern. So the circle of concern is filled with the have statements. Circle of concerns. I will be happy when, right? And I remember when I first got into recovery, I said, I'll be in recovery when, I get a good job, I get a good spouse, I get some savings, I get a place to stay. So far, if I had more obedient kids, the circle of influence is indicated by be statements. I can be more patient, right? I can be more wise, more loving. Focus on our character. Anytime we think the problem is out there, that thought is the problem. What's out there controls us. So it's the outside in. So when I have a good job, it's the outside in paradigm. I have this, I have that. What's out there has to change first, then I could change inside, right? Proactive change from the inside out, be different, effect positive change in what's out there. So If you want to be different, see, be. If you want to have something out there that's different, be different. So effect positive change in what's out there. Be more resourceful. If you want to have resources, be resourceful. Be more diligent. Be more creative. Be more cooperative. So many ways to work in the circle of influence to be. What are some ways we can be happy, be a better listener and stuff like that? While we're free to choose our actions, but not free to choose the consequences of those actions. Right? We are governed by natural laws. We can decide to step in front of a fast-moving train, but cannot decide what will happen when the train hits us. So when we pick up one end of the talking stick, we pick up the other end of the stick automatically. So sometimes we make choices with negative consequences called mistakes. Picking up the drink, picking up the drugs. Once again, there's negative consequences that come with that. I didn't know that when I first picked it up. I was just trying to have fun. But once we pick up one end of the stick, we automatically pick up the other end, and negative consequences. And those are mistakes. When we miss the opportunity to do the right thing, that's a mistake. We can't recall or undo our past mistakes. They're in the circle of concern. See, so there's a circle of influence. When we're proactive, our circle of concern diminishes. But if we're reactive, like I am, then our circle of influences shrinks, and our circle of our concerns become bigger, and our ability to do something about it diminishes. So we can't recall our mistakes. We can't undo them. We can't control the consequences that came with them. The proactive approach is to acknowledge it instantly. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. Promptly, instantly. Correct and learn from it. Success is a far side of failure. So not acknowledging the mistake, not to correct it and learn from it, is a mistake of a different order. Puts a person on a self-deceiving, self-justifying path, rationalizing, rational lies to self and others. Not what the other do. It's ours. It's our own mistake. Our own mistake, but our response to it. Do not chase a snake that bit you. Work to get the poison out. At the heart of the circle of influence is our ability to make and keep commitments and promises. Something that we severely lacked in our addiction. Oh yeah, I'll be there, and never show up. I remember in the big book it says, oh, he showed up to work on Tuesday. Well, where was he on Monday? I know. It's either being still intoxicated or recovering from the weekend before. I've done it. So our integrity in keeping commitments and the ability to make commitments are the clearest manifestations of proactivity. Like usually when I say I do something now, that's why I don't say I'm going to do very much. I just kind of allude to it. But the reason that I do it now, I say I'm going to do it. I usually try to do it. That's how we grow. Use self-awareness, conscience, become conscious of weakness, areas for improvement, areas of talent to be developed, areas that need to be changed and eliminated. Use our imagination and independent will to act on that awareness. Make promises, set goals, be true to them. I would like to open some type of recovery house. We build strength of character, being, which brings possible things into our lives. Make and keep commitments is the essence of developing the basic habits of effectiveness. The more that we could make and keep the commitments and promises, the more effective we will be. Knowledge, skill, and desire are all within our control. Work on and improve all three. That's a habit. So habits can't be destroyed. They could only be replaced. So the negative, we need to replace the negative with the positive. The negative habits that lead to negative consequences was addiction. So we need positive habits, positive consequences. intersection becomes larger and deeper, these principles will travel. Our character will be strengthened, like the knowledge, skills, and desire will strengthen our character. We'll be more balanced and be more effective out in the world, in our families, in our jobs, wherever we end up at. So you could see here, if you want to have freedom, be free, be proactive, work on your circle of concern, by your circle of influence. Focus on those things something that you could do something about today. If you want to be more free in spirit, do these things. Work on the proactive focus. Okay, this is happening out there. What can I do about it today? If you want to have more freedom. If you want to have more freedom in your spirit, and if you want to seek what God's will is for you, the choice is ours, right? So it's going to take some time, play around with these ideas, play around with these concepts. Just where it's like a spiritual muscle. So that the more that you work on these and work on being on the bees versus the haves, understand that every decision that you make has consequences. If you pick up one end of the stick, you automatically pick up the other. And don't try to be happy when this happens, or be happy when that happens. Change from the inside out. Remember on the Cinderella Man, you have to beat him from the inside out, right? So that's what we're occurring. You can't change the outside and then change inside first. I think we need to be proactive from the inside out. And I think that the Covey calls a paradigm shift, and it happens slowly or quickly, like it says in the big book. Like the Bill Wilson, I think, had a spiritual transformation or something. It happened instantly. So his paradigm shifted instantly, and that's what could happen with your life. If you had, we're just providing some tips and techniques and tactics, and it doesn't matter what happened in the past, because what happens is we take a detour, is what I call it. So we start in our addiction somewhere, right? And who knows where we end up at. But so it takes us on a detour. Maybe we were born, and then we had to go to a certain location, but because we picked up one end of the drug or alcohol, then all of a sudden we picked up automatically the other side of the stick, the opposite end of the stick, the negative consequences. We didn't know. And then, so that takes us on a detour, and then we end up in left field somewhere. We don't know where we're at, but so what we have to do is acknowledge that, oh, hey, I made a mistake immediately. Remember that 5 short chapters? I walk down the street and stuff like that. There's a hole there, I fall in, blah, blah, blah. But then when they take immediate responsibility for and accountability for that mistake, then it becomes ours. Then we walk down a different street. But that's only through a process. And going through these steps and looking at these live streams, we start to learn and start to, wherever we end up in our addictions, we don't have to come back to where we left off. We could start from there, point a direction where we're initially intended to go before we made the mistake, and make that our true north. And then just pick up from there, acknowledge a mistake. Oh, hey, man, I made a mistake. Seek counseling. Go talk to somebody, trusted family member, clergy, whatever, psychologist, someone you trust, and say, my life, I was on a detour. I got lost. I don't know where I'm at now. Help me. Where do I go? Now, if they've gone through the, leader, somebody who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way, So if they know the way, they'll be able to show you because they went that way. It's not saying that you have to go that way. What it's saying is that this is a way to go. Now it's up to you to determine if that way is for your way. Like whatever I'm sharing, this is just from my own personal experience. But just know that I know the way, and I show the way, and I'm going the way. You know, it's still a work in progress. I'm still, after 25 years and accomplishing quite a bit in that short period of time, I'm still going the way. And I still have guidance and direction. I'm still out in left field somewhere, lost, but I'm trying to make my way back. And I believe slowly I'm getting my alignment with the Creator. How come? Because I'm starting to ask. I'm starting to knock, starting to seek where is it? Where is the Creator's will? And like the Creator is there. We can't find him. Like Columbus discovered America, but he's there all along. He's just going to be revealed. And so let's end that with there and just say, Creator, we thank you for everything you've provided. We know that our spirit wants to head true north as you intended for us to be. And we just ask that you guide us, show us the way, help me, guide me, show me the way, show us your way. Reveal yourself to us. See the negative consequences of the negative habits that we've been up to this point, our knowledge, skills, and desire. We know that we've learned a lot, and it made us resilient. Otherwise, we wouldn't have stayed in our addictions for so long. So now we realize that what this leads to, and that we're not, as our ancestors have once eked out a path for us to be. We took a detour. We ended up in the left field. We're sorry. We just pray that any individual who may have left up in left field and who feel like they're stepping on their ancestors' toes, that they look up to you, acknowledge you, and ask you, what is your will in my life, all my relations.